Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Ms. Marcie and welcome to the Ms. Marcie Show. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. First of all, happy Halloween to everybody who celebrates it. And I am joined with a guest today. Well, I guess you can call him a guest. He's been on here a few times. I like to think of people being at home after they've been over a few times, you know. But we'll still call him a guest, y'all. Welcome back to the show, my friend, Mr. Rich. Hey, Rich, how's it going?
Hey, Miss Marcie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I can't complain.
Right. So, you got any plans for this weekend? With it being, Halloween weekend and all?
Well, we don't really celebrate Halloween per se. But tonight I am taking my wife to a dance competition.
Mm-hmm.
So that's fun.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I like dancing. I've actually been watching Dancing with the Stars this season. Yeah, I watched it last season too because of Alfonso Ribeiro. Because to be honest with you, I never really got into it, but when he was on there, me and my mom, we both was just like every Monday night, we was just on it, So, and I've been watching it this season. Yeah, I've been watching it this season too, I think because of Tamar, because she been killing it. So,
right.
Yeah, so.
Well, I don't necessarily like get into all of that, but one of the actresses that were in a recent commercial that I shot, she's a dancer, and invited me and my wife to her competition today, so we're going to go check it out. It's the first one I've ever been to.
Oh, okay, that's cool, and it's always good to support,
Right.
Yeah, so.
What are your plans for this weekend?
Oh, I probably won't do much. Me and some friends are probably going to go catch a movie or something. But other than that, I think I'm just going to chill out and probably keep back and watch a couple of horror movies or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably about it. And then a lot of times too, I just kind of, I don't really like to plan stuff all the time. I just, like on the weekends, I just kind of play it by ear and just kind of do things, as they come up. And I feel like that's when I have more fun anyways, when I kind of do things spontaneously.
Right.
I don't always like to try to plan everything.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, buddy. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get some discussions going on. Now, there's been there's been a lot of things going on in the news, and mainly the situation that happened over in South Carolina with at the high school where the young lady was snatched basically body slammed while she was at her desk, and she was pulled from out of the chair, basically yanked out of the chair for real, and due to I guess they were saying that she was disrupting the class, and the teacher asked the deputy to come in and kind of like handle the situation. But from the video that we all saw that is going viral and got everybody in a rage, it's from the video, things got a little out of hand, and so we're just going to kind of talk about that. Now I have an audio clip that I want to play from the other young lady who was arrested as well. And, she was just kind of talking with someone. Now, in this audio, you can't really hear the person that she's talking to who's asking her the questions, but I'm going to just play this for our listeners. You can hear her and her version of what happened. So I'm going to go ahead and play that real quick, and we'll be right back with our thoughts.
Originally, I guess she was supposed to be kicked out of class for chewing gum. And when she refused to leave the class for chewing gum, he called an administrator. And when she refused to leave with the administrator, then that's when Deputy Slam came and, as you saw in the video, he jacked her off the desk and threw her. How did you know what you were getting in trouble for? Like, did the teacher say, he didn't really have a reason to yell because she wasn't saying anything back. She doesn't talk to anyone in the class at all. Like, at all. So, I mean, he kicks us out for cell phones, chewing gum, or not doing your work. So it had to be one of those three reasons.
So the administrator came in and she still was like refusing to leave. So that's when they called the deputy in?
Yes, ma'am.
So what happened when he came in the class? Did he go right over to her and like just walk us through what he saw?
When he came in, he asked her, and he was like, are you gonna leave with me? I'm asking you, are you gonna leave with me? And she just was looking like she was, like I said, she wasn't saying anything. She just had this nope look on her face. And so he moved a few desks around, and then he moved a few laptops, and then he came right next to her and like tried to jack her out the desk. And when she wasn't coming, he like flipped the desk back and flung her out the desk, and then he flung her across the class, and she went like rolling into a table in the front of the classroom. And I'm guessing that's how she got the gash on her forehead when she hit the table.
So then what was your involvement in it? It sounds like you were the only one that kind of stood up and was like, this is not right.
Yeah, because
What was your mind?
nobody in the class was saying anything. And in the video, you can see students with their heads down, like scared. And I was just like, how can y'all really sit here in your seats calm when something like this is going on? Like, I am traumatized. I could not believe this was going on.
All right, now that was the young lady, and I believe she was the other young lady's friend. Her name is Naya Kenny. That was her version of what happened and why it happened. So now I'm gonna share my thoughts, and then I want you to Rich, I want you to tell me your thoughts.
Okay.
My thoughts on that was, when I saw the video, first of all, I was appalled by the force that the officer Ben was using. And also, let me add this too for our listeners. Now, the officer has, since this incident, he has been fired, Officer Ben Fields. So, but yeah, like I said, I was really appalled at the amount of force that he was using. It was like he was manhandling this young lady. And not only that, I was also just really surprised at how quiet like everybody was just sitting there, just quiet, it just looked like it was a disturbing scene. And so I feel like it was a bit much. And especially if she was the type of young lady, like her friend just said, she doesn't really talk as much. I just can't help but wonder why so much force was used. Why did it get so out of hand, you know?
Well, when it comes to force, police officers, and I don't think that, like, this guy that was in uniform and took her out, I don't think he was like a district police officer. I think that he was like a school security guard type of
that's what he was.
So I don't know whether he actually carries a weapon, and I don't know his level of being an officer or whatnot, but I think that he's someone employed by the school, and not like a patrolling officer. But either way, these officers are trained to use overwhelming force. Like that's the first thing that we all have to keep in consideration. Police are not trained to apply a fair amount of force, or a reasonable amount of force. They're trained to get the job done, and they come with more force than necessary to get the job done, to ensure that the job gets done. Now, I think that what we have right now is, we've got a lot of teachers and administrators in schools that are not trained to deal with certain type of behaviors from children. So, flat out defiance, flat out, a child flat out deciding that it's not going to comply. I don't know that most teachers and administrators are I don't think that they know what to do with that. And so they get frustrated. I don't think they should have ever called, like, the police. That's like calling 911 because your kid is misbehaving. You use the police for certain things. Like, you should only call the police when force is necessary or when someone needs to be arrested. But in this case, they should have never been called. Maybe they could have called the parent, and then the parent may have been able to, give instructions to the child to obey. I'm pretty sure that the parent would have, given those instructions. And if the parent was at work or something like that, then, the anger and frustration of having to be called on your job would, put a tone in the parent's voice that, maybe really put a fire underneath the child's butt. But, like, once you call the police, you open the door to anything. You know what I'm saying? It's their interpretation of the situation. And this guy's interpretation is that we have a defiant individual, and my job is to get this individual out of the classroom. And so if the child is not being obedient and not coming out of the classroom on her own, then the officer is going to extract her or him from the classroom. That's how they're trained. And so, it's a situation that kind of, like, in my opinion, got out of control because the police were involved in the first place. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, you don't call your goons to handle something that you don't want somebody getting hurt. you know what I mean?
For real. Right.
Right. But then to the teacher, like, I don't know the teacher, I don't know the admin, so I can't, like, give any definite, explanation to, like, what was going on in their mind. But I mean, like, it's common that, like, they just don't know what to do.
Right.
Like, but they want something to change. Like, they want the child to either stop chewing the gum or get out of my classroom because I'm trying to teach these other students.
Right.
And so that. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say also, and they were saying that basically, she had her cell phone out and she started texting on her phone, but I agree with you, like you said. I mean, I don't think he's a resource, I guess, a resource officer or whatever they call it. I don't think he should have been called in the first place, and I agree that they should have called her parents. And especially if she's a student that doesn't even talk much, like, I just don't understand why that teacher felt he needed to call the deputy.
The teacher just wants the situation to change.
Right.
The teacher just wants to teach her curriculum. And when and with all honesty, like, we can put a lot of emphasis and attention on what should not have happened, but actually the attention should be split between, what should not have happened, but then also with staff and with the officer, but also what should not have happened with the child. The whole situation started, with the child not thinking it was important to obey.
True.
So we have to kind of, like, acknowledge that behavior a little bit if we want our kids to be safe. Like, I tell my daughter, I don't care whether they're right or wrong, comply.
Right.
You comply, and then you come back to us, and then we go forward, with the resolve. If anything happens, you just make sure that you're not in the wrong.
Right.
And so if they're doing something that they're not supposed to be doing, then that's where we are able to come in and defend you. But, like, the child shouldn't take that into, its own hands.
Exactly, yeah.
So anyway, and so, like, if the child gets up and comply, we don't even have this conversation because none of the other stuff would have unfolded. Abraham Lincoln had a quote. He said, "Rather give my path to the dog than to be bitten contesting for the right. Even killing the dog won't cure the bite." And that's the thing. So, like, we can demand his job. We can, get very emotional and angry about all the stuff that happened. But the thing is that it doesn't change her getting balled up and thrown up against something and getting a gash on her head. And then you would never, like, she wouldn't have run into that situation if she complied.
Yeah, he threw her like a dog.
With authority.
Yeah, man, he threw her like she was a damn dog. Like that.
Right.
Oh my gosh, when I saw that, I was like, what the hell? Oh man. So your opinion is basically she should have just kind of I mean, even though he was wrong, she should have been in compliance.
Yeah, you know, especially when you're talking about this on a public level, right? You have to be careful to not encourage this kind of behavior and justify it. Mm-hmm. So, like, we can all be in outrage that it happened, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, you know, yeah, I think it's very unfortunate. It shouldn't have happened. Like I said at the beginning, I think that, you know, the teacher or, you know, some administrative staff should have called the parent. And that parent could have called her on her cell phone, you know, that she's got out anyway. Call her on her cell phone and tell her to get her butt up out that chair, go to the principal's office, and, you know, we'll deal with this in a minute. But let the teacher continue with her curriculum, because the students are there to learn, you know, whatever problem transpire with the individual, class has to go on. You know, you don't want to take away the education from everyone else because one person is having a situation. Resolve the situation to the side, let class keep going. That's the most productive way forward, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it starts with, you know, that initial decision. You know, so if we train the kids to comply, if we train the teachers to not, you know, freak out.
Right.
You know, the teacher has to, but see, that's not something the government can do. Mm-hmm. That's not, the government can't make a person not freak out.
But see, this officer, he's actually known, he was known for being like, I think they called him the Incredible Hulk, or, you know, Officer Slam or something like that. So he was known for this type of behavior. In fact, he had a situation, I think a year prior, where there was a complaint filed against him for slamming a young man.
But here's the thing: if this young man is in here tearing shit up, like imagine if they would have called Officer Slam at a school shooting, everybody would be you know, applauding him being able to come in, snatch the shooter up, throw him up against the wall. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like there are certain situations where that mindset is necessary, useful, and would be applauded. So don't call Officer Slam on a student that's you know, just that's chewing bubble gum and don't want to put her phone away. Don't call Officer. He's not the right tool for that. You know. Mm-hmm. Officer Slam, all he knows is pain. That came from there's like I watch this cartoon Rick and Morty. Mm-hmm. And there's this. No, actually, this bot was on the super. I can't remember the name of that cartoon, but anyway, it's this little robot, and all he knows is pain. And the only thing he can say is pain, but he got all these weapons and things like that that'll kill you, slice you up, and all type of stuff. And he run around pain. Don't call the pain bot.
Right.
Not trying to inflict pain. And that's the thing, like, know when to call the cops. Like, don't call the cops on everything, because when the cops come, all they know is pain. You know what I mean?
Right. I see what you're saying. It's like, this is what in his mind, this is what he's trained to do. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's like, you know, like that same officer in a different situation would have been a hero.
I think. What I mean?
And that's.
And I was gonna say, I also think it was the teacher's fault. Shouldn't have called him. Just shouldn't have called him.
Right, you shouldn't have called him. The teacher, I split it between the teacher and the student. Mm-hmm. If that was my daughter, I would not dismiss the part she played in it.
Right, yeah.
Because when your teacher asks you to get up, you get up. And if she's asking you to get up for an unjust reason, you get up and then you come home and you tell us what's going on. And we go back and fight on your behalf the way we know how.
Right.
And that's, it started with both of them. But since the teacher is older than the student, we can put more blame on the teacher. The teacher should have called home.
Right.
And then, the next administrator, I don't know who came in next, but there was someone else that tried to get her to comply that was, a higher level of administration. That person then should have called home. Like, call home.
Mm-hmm.
If the child is under 18, call home. Call home. Get the parents involved, and or whoever the caretaker is, get them involved. That way, they can resolve the situation in a way that the child is more familiar with.
Right. And also with this happening, this happens in the in the midst of the whole Black Lives Matter movement. I think it was a good thing that he was fired. I do. Because I think if he hadn't have been fired, oh man, this would have been, I think people would have been even more outraged than what they already are about the situation. So I think it was a good thing that he was fired.
Well, we have a culture, I have mixed feelings on that. Like, we have a culture right now where everyone wants a person's job. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what happens, like, I agree, like, that situation, he was quite rough with the child. Like, I think that he should definitely receive some type of punishment. I don't know whether or not he should lose his job. I mean, that's kind of like, you take away his livelihood, due to a bad decision. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie, but look, I'm not gonna lie. It does make you wonder, if that had been a white young lady, would the result been different?
Well, but see, you can't, you can't really, I don't think that you can really ask that question because it's so random, and then also it's so relative to who it is. So, like, if you put a white student there, first of all, white people are not as afraid of, white kids. They're more afraid and detached from, black kids, and so, I don't think that it would have, maybe turned out exactly the same. I mean, I think there's a chance it could have turned out similar, but there's no, human beings have proximity preference. We are most comfortable with our own family than our own race. You know what I'm saying? Our own local geographic area. Like, we take pride in what's localized to us. And so, a person that looks like you're going to have a different way of seeing things. I mean, the only thing I can say to that is that's why we need, more black people as police officers and administrators in school and teachers. So that, it can balance out a little more. But you can't really expect a person that's not of your race to have the exact same response. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Seriously, whether we like it or not, whether it's nice or not, whether it's fair or not, doesn't really matter. It's human behavior. Proximity preference is it's a fact. And you don't have to look far to see it. Blacks prefer blacks, whites prefer whites, Asians prefer Asians. You know what I mean? Like, and then you go up another level where people in their city prefer people in that city over other people, people in one school over another school, we have proximity preference.
I could see, people liking to deal, people dealing with their own kind a certain way, but go ahead.
Well, the thing is that, no law by the government is going to make a white police officer less afraid of a black person. No law is going to make a white teacher feel more comfortable with a black student. It comes from cultural understanding.
That's that stereotype stuff. That's that stereotype. That's that stereotype stuff.
What do you mean?
I think that's stereotype, and I think why would why would a white officer feel a certain type of way about a black student or whatever. I just think that's the stereotype. It's the stereotype that comes.
Oh, okay, but you say stereotype as if it's something that shouldn't or doesn't exist. I mean, we stereotype everything. You stereotype stuff throughout your day. It's how we survive. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that, like, it's stereotyped through the home after generations and generations of conversations in the home, passed down kid to kid. It's stereotyped through the media. It's stereotyped through, like, conversations that you run into with other people that have the same, type of stories going on in their home. It's supported. I mean, this is what we have. So pointing it out like, oh, that's a stereotype doesn't change it. Okay, yeah, that's the feature. Let's call it a stereotype. Stereotypes exist, and people function with them. And so, like, we have to. So here's what we can do. Like, I, in my home, try my best to train my daughter to understand that yes, they're stereotyping you, and as a result, you behave this way. Because what I'm gonna do? Point out stereotype after I'm dead? I'm saying that we have to understand that we live in a certain type of environment.
Right.
And,
we do.
And human beings function a certain type of way, and we can slap all the labels we want. We can get as emotional as we want. We can demand at the government and legislate laws and stuff like that, and people lose their jobs. And all you're going to do is snowball it. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We need more. If we have more black teachers, if we have more black administrators, if we have more black officers, then the stereotype wouldn't, be so hard on us because it wouldn't come up every time we run into somebody of authority.
Right. Yeah.
My wife is a black teacher, and in the school that she's a teacher, she is the only black teacher, and she's a special ed teacher. And everybody runs to her, oh, Miss Marcie, you really know how to deal with these kids and the bad kids, and you know how to do this, you know how to get them. And that's because she's not afraid of them. She comes from a long line of badass kids. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so she deals with the bad kids in a certain way that a person that doesn't have a similar personal background just don't know how.
Right. Now,
sometimes a person just doesn't know what else to do. And with human behavior, when you don't know what to do, you use force.
Right.
It's not something that you can consider right or wrong or fair or unfair. It's functionality. Is what they do. Let's not call the police if the situation is not that severe. Because when the police come, they come with a certain mentality. Let's train our kids on how to respond to administration, regardless of their color. Because administration can be white, black, Asian. Just because you don't connect with that color of the person or their role, still comply that way. You don't end up in the situation where we even got to put you on the news. Yeah,
and I think, too, with like I said, about the Black Lives Matter, I think with everything going on between the cops and black, people, it's just it's just tension already between the two. And it's a lot of hostility going on right now. And I think that just didn't help it. The situation didn't help.
Well, this situation didn't help, and the situations that come after aren't going to help either, and it's just going to continue snowballing. And that's what I'm afraid of. What I'm afraid of is that people are so emotional, and the news, oh my God, the news perpetuates it because, listen, there's all types of stuff going on across this country. The overwhelming majority of it never makes the news, and the reason is because there's no political or business interest behind it. No one's going to gain. These incidents where the media puts a lot of attention, someone is set to gain behind all of that promotion.
So you're saying, right? So you're saying that includes the Black Lives Matter movement too? Like, how do you feel about the Black Lives Matter movement anyway? Since we on the topic of this situation.
Like, I understand the desire for a Black Lives Matter movement. I think that by design, the Black Lives Matter movement was created to evoke emotion and controversy, and I think that it's doing a good job at invoking, emotion and controversy. It's not my approach. Like, it's not the approach that I would take. I think that in this country we've made a tremendous amount of progress in terms of race. I don't think that race equality, in terms of like how a person feels about each other, is I don't think that that's something that can change through government laws and things like that. I think that it changes through behavior and position in the economy. We have money privilege. We don't have like a white privilege like people talk about. I mean, poor white people have the same problems that poor black people and poor Mexican people have, and black people with a little money enjoy the same privileges as white people with a little money. I think that the approach should be more on educating people and helping people to like build a certain level of financial status, and that would be more beneficial than like demanding that everybody accept each other, because people accept each other out of necessity.
Mm-hmm.
If them, you know what I'm saying? Like I am only friends with people that that serve a certain purpose in my life. You know what I mean? And people only have me as friends if I serve a certain purpose in their life. Like if I begin to like not serve that purpose, people will not be my friend. And like that's just how human beings work. Once again, like we just got to pay attention to how we work. And so, like if I have a client that's racist, and I've had them before, like where I clearly know that this dude is racist, but he needs a website, and he picked my company to build it. And so, racist or not, as long as he's paying these invoices, I'm gonna keep building that site.
Right.
And you'd be surprised how that need between he can't find any other programmer, that's white that's gonna do what my company can do for him, and so he sticks with me. You know what I'm saying? Like that's out of necessity, and I'm okay with that.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying like that same type of situation applies for every business and everybody. If you my neighbor, and when you cut your grass, sometimes you cut my grass, I don't care what color you are.
Right.
I would be thankful. You know what I'm saying?
The grass, right.
And like, so like I guess the whole approach that I would take, like instead of Black Lives Matter, I guess my approach would be more of encouraging people to, to serve their neighbor. You know what I'm saying? To be important. To, like be an asset to people, and they will recognize that you matter. Like by default.
Yeah. I can see what you're saying on that. It's kind of like a status thing.
Not a status thing. It's a purpose thing. If the people in your life didn't like you take one of your friends. If one of your friends, every time you talk to this friend, they don't want to talk about the stuff you want to talk about. Every time you want to hang out, they don't want to go where you want to go. What are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna hang out with them. I'm not gonna hang out with their asses.
Exactly. Thank you. That's the only thing I'm saying. So you apply that same logic to everything else in the economy. You know what I'm saying? People want to do business with people that help them grow their business. They want to, sell stuff to people that's going to buy as much stuff as possible. They want to employ people that are going to do as great a job as possible. There has
to be a gain.
Yeah, for everybody. That's how we function, but that's nothing new. We human beings function on necessity. We do what's going to help us the most.
Right. So
we
that's
befriend people that's going to help us have the most fun, or somebody that we can lean on, or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like we employ people that's going to do a great job, in our opinions. We, like, no matter what you look at, we're always looking for what's in it for me if I do this for you.
Oh yeah, what's in it for me?
You see what?
Right. No, that's a common. That's like something they when you're going into any type of sales position or anything like that, that's one of the main things that they point out when they trying to train you. They say, people always want to know what's in it for me. So yeah. And I believe that's applicable. I believe I agree with that people do. There always has to be some type of, most of the time. Yeah, there has to be some type of game.
Give me a time where it doesn't. Point out a time where it doesn't have to be in a sense where it's purely altruistic.
I don't know. I think sometimes some people do kind things out the kindness of their heart. I want to
give me an example.
Let me think. Hold on. Like somebody giving you a ride somewhere. If your car is broke down, somebody give you a ride to work. You go knock on your neighbor's door. They half sleep, and you're like, "Hey, you know what? My car is broke."
Okay, so with that being said, like you just pointed out a couple different situations. All right, so now think about this. So I ride to work. Now, if it's a complete and utter stranger, like let's say your car is broken down, and it's a complete utter stranger. This person doesn't know you, not even going the same way you're going, but they pull over and they give you a ride. Now,
I'm not getting in the car.
Right, so now you might not even get in the car. If it's a friend of yours,
right,
they're going to give you a ride because they're hoping one day you give them a ride in the same situation.
Or they
could,
or no, hold on. Well, that's true, but they also could be like,
and then also,
dang, I don't want her to lose her job. Let me take her to work.
Right, but now watch this though. Now listen, even like you do have and I was going to give this example from the person that just randomly picks you up, right?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, think about all the people that's going to pass you by before one person randomly pulls over and tries to help.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of, I know I've broken down, before, especially when I was younger, and drove older cars. But there's going to be a tremendous number of people that drive past before someone actually does stop. So when someone does stop, and there's nothing wrong with this. Like, one thing you gotta understand, like, just because I point something out, I'm not saying like this is a negative characteristic.
Right.
But human beings also have a need to feel like they're a good person.
Right.
Human beings have a need, a psychological need. Not all of them, but some human beings have a psychological need to feel like they're doing the best they can to help. And that comes from maybe they feel like they've gotten some, unfair advantages in life. Maybe they feel like things are going real well for me, and, like I would really like things to go well for someone else. But the thing is that it results back to a little kudo in their brain that helps them feel like a good person. The psychological need. You know what I'm saying? Everybody doesn't have that need. Like, right. Some people do not need to feel like they're a good person. They're quite fine being an asshole.
Right.
But I'm saying, like, when, you know what I mean? But normally the person is going to pull over for you, randomly out the blue, don't know you from anywhere. That person often has a psychological, account of how good of a person they are, and they get to fill it up as they do things. And so that's a personal fulfillment. That's a joy. Right. That's a high. That's a, you know what I mean? So if you take that away, that same person doesn't do the stuff anymore.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what? I want. Let me say this. I guess, I can see the point, because that's what the majority of us, like, just like even when we do things that we love to do, whether it's a hobby, whether it's our, whatever, our career, whatever, a lot of people like to feel that rewarding feeling of helping someone else, or feeling like they're making a difference. So I guess that's just natural. And so it
is natural. That's how we work. That's what I keep saying. We're human. And so we if you're building a robot, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you want the robot to go around and just do stuff, it has to be compelled by something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to, if men didn't get, things firing off in their brain when they see a woman's shape, they would never come talk to a woman.
Right.
And if he never comes talk to a woman, he's never able to get her pregnant, and reproduction is not even possible. You have to have urges. You have to have things that motivate you to do this or that or this or that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it comes to your survival, human beings are pack animals. We're not very strong. We're not very, fast. We don't have sharp teeth. And so in nature, because we are human, we were born in nature, so now we got CDs and stuff, but we're still human. But anyway, in nature, one human being is not very effective.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to kind of group up. You got 2-3 guys out there chasing a lion. He got a chance of killing it. You got one guy out there with a lion. He's got a good chance of dying. And so we have to have, these compulsory urges that make us want to be friends with each other,
right.
that make us want to be in families, that make us want to care about our kids growing up and being able to survive. There's things that's in it for me.
Right. Right.
If my kid grows up and is successful, then one day when I'm old, my kid can properly take care of me.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, there's incentive that you can plan for, and then you put in the work, you invest in the other person.
Mm-hmm.
You know
exactly.
what I'm saying? And it's always a what's in it for me.
Right. All right, Rich. So what I want to, I'm sorry, I wanted to switch gears real quick because we don't have that much time left. I wanted to switch gears real quick, and I wanted to get this in too because it's been going on. You've been watching the presidential debate. So what are your thoughts on? So what are your thoughts on it?
Well, the Democratic Party candidates, they, especially Bernie Sanders, who's I guess kind of winning right now for the Democratic side, but they seem very, very socialist right now, and I'm not a huge fan of socialism, so definitely wouldn't be considering the Democratic side. But when it comes to them, I noticed that they're just trying to hand out as much as they can for free in order to gather votes. And with the Republican side, these guys, most of the people up there, they're just politicians. I like Trump. He's a businessman. America is a business, and so I kind of lean a little bit more towards his ideas and things like that.
Okay, so it's I'm sure you voting for Trump.
Right.
Oh man, the debate's been kind of funny to me. I don't know. They just seem a little more like a lot of shade is tossed around more than But I guess that's just with any debate. I guess with any presidential debate.
Well, the presidential debates are there to just give each candidate an opportunity to kind of respond to some questions, and then also, they get a chance to kind of throw their own little campaign pieces in there, and kind of be compared against the other candidates on one stage.
Right, but you know what? I never thought. I know Trump has tried to run in the past, and people thought it was a joke, and I really thought it was a joke this time around too. But I see he's really going through with it. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can see him running the country. I like I said, he does have a lot of good business sense. Of course, we all know that. But I don't know. I think it takes more than that to run a country. You know what I mean?
What do you think that what do you think that it would take that he doesn't have?
I think it takes more than a person having business sense. I know that. I don't. I just can't see him.
What do you think? That's what I'm saying. don't just, say it takes more. I mean, what more? I mean, maybe it takes more. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the more that you're thinking, how falls
Well,
into
first
the
of all,
business. I mean, you're not. Trump isn't only numbers. He has to have strong people with negotiation skills.
right.
He has to build alliances. A company doesn't grow to be as wealthy as his companies are and as big as his companies are without international relationships. I mean, he deals with these same country leaders in business,
Right.
And so it's not like they don't know him, and it's not like, hey, we know that they dislike him. Why? He's doing business in their country on a large scale, like not just some little mom and pop store somewhere, like on an extremely large scale. And so that, you're dealing with a lot of government officials anyway on his level.
Right.
And so I wouldn't discount his ability to have relationships with foreign leaders. And then outside of that, it's about you want your president to guide the country to a certain quality of life. Naturally, the more money that we have in this country, the higher quality of life the people in this country would live. Like, the reason why we live the way we do is because this country has had some wins over the past few hundred years. And so, don't we want to keep winning?
True.
So it's not, like, in my opinion, it's not about the socialist approach where we want someone that's just going to hand out everything the government got to people. That's not a good idea, because, I mean, just like your own personal home, if you spend everything you got, you're broke.
Right. True.
You can have a great time over the weekend, right? On Monday, you don't have gas. And so, like, I wouldn't want to do that with the country. I wouldn't want to hand out everything that the country has just so that we look like nice people.
Well, I don't know. It just seems like he just seemed more entertaining more than anything. He really does. And
well, he seems entertaining because look at Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a movie star. I mean, he was entertaining. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people that felt that way about him. But Donald Trump knows how to get cameras pointed at him. He has spent less than many of the other candidates, but has gotten more press. So, it's all about getting the word out. It's all about getting your message across. He used some guerrilla tactics. I'm not mad at him. And I'm not saying he has to be a nice guy.
And to me, he has a little bit of a male chauvinist attitude, a little bit.
And that's fine. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the power or the authority to come in and take away women's rights. So whether he's a male chauvinist or not, who cares? We want a certain quality of life. We're not looking for a nice guy.
I guess. I guess when
you know what I mean? He's not going up there to, and that's the problem. Like, people pick a president based on if they're a nice guy. And I don't need a nice guy for a president. I need somebody that's going to make some decisions and do some deals that's going to get us some wins. And from those wins, we can improve our quality of life. We'll have more opportunities and things like that. And so there's more, I feel like he would negotiate deals and do things for restructuring that, would make this country, more profitable. And if it's more profitable, then you can then take that money and build a better quality of life. There's more money to hand out to the socialists. I mean, if it's funny. There's a saying that one person is a conservative, so another person can be a socialist. Or you know what I mean? Like you can't spend money you ain't got, and you make money through investment, sacrifices, and good decision making, and then you can take that money and spread it out to people.
Yeah. And I guess that makes a lot of sense. We'll see, though. We'll see. So, so far, I believe it's.
What do you think? What do you think? Who would you, in favor of?
At this time, I don't have a person right now. I don't. I mean, I've just been kind of watching and just, I don't know. I honestly can say.
Which party then? Which party would you prefer to win?
I don't know. I really haven't really,
See, the two different parties represent two different.
Oh, I know.
Ideologies.
I know what they represent. Right. I know, but I'm just saying. I really haven't decided. I really don't. I mean, I'm not gonna say I really haven't been, really into it this year. But because I've been watching the debates and stuff. I just really don't have a person. I don't really have a side just yet.
Okay. Well, that's understandable. So, people, like I said, when it comes to the Democratic side, it's all about giving out as much stuff as possible.
No, it's not.
There's a very good chance you're going to pick one of those guys.
No, it's not. No, I don't think that's the case.
Because when it comes to the Republicans, like, you ain't got nobody else but Donald Trump. Like, these other guys are jokes. And it's funny because I kind of feel like they did that on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I vote for Trump because considering the other options, you know what I'm saying? Who's up there?
But you know what?
But I would love to see there's other people in this country that I prefer to see as president, all of which are business owners and, and people that have made, like, a lot of great, business and decisions. I think that we really need an entrepreneur up there. Mm-hmm. I'm not so wrapped up in, like, what color the person is or what their gender is. I don't care if it's man, woman, black, white. I just want an entrepreneur up there, someone that has had to, do some deals, do some negotiating, cut back some spending, put forth some investment in certain sectors in order to get the company growing. That's what I think that we need right now.
You know what? And I was going to say, once I decide on what side I'm going for, you and I can come back and revisit this conversation. We can have a discussion about it.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So on that note, I believe that is our time. And I want to thank you so much, Rich, again, for joining me on my show. And everybody, thank you so much for listening to the Miss Marcie Show. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Miss Marcie 23. Also, like my Facebook, Miss Marcie. And remember to live, love, and be happy. And we are so out of here. And again, happy Halloween to everybody. Peace.